Hey everyone, my name is Sean Arnold and welcome to another episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! Lore Duels. Today I'm going to be looking at the Vylon archetype, an archetype which was very important and integral to the Duel Terminals storyline and had a very big impact in what they call Season 2. The Vylons are an archetype based around monsters which were kind of like a protector archetype of the world. They were made and designed to counter the Steelswarm virus, and they were designed to be a hard counter to the threat which they posed. However, during the Duel Terminal storyline, we often found that the monsters would often fight amongst themselves. Gem-Knights would fight against Lavals, Gishkis would fight against Gustos, and the Vylons really didn't become a fan of that. Therefore, when the Steelswarms began to attack, the Vylons united all the clans in an effort to try and stop the Steelswarms from attacking and conquering the world. They were very successful, and what the Vylons did, they were able to power up most of the clans, and when you look at those other clans, you can actually see monsters which have been influenced by the Vylons. Monsters such as Gusto Sprees, I'm drawing a blank on some of the others which have come to my head, Gem-Knight Prism, and other monsters like that which were enhanced by the Vylons as per the narrative. However, once the Vylons led the other clans to victory, they changed their mind and said, do you know what, we're sick of all you other clans for fighting, we want to kill all the other clans, and therefore we're going to fight you to stop you from fighting each other. It was a bit of a stupid idea, and unfortunately the Vylons were wiped out, and lo and behold, it turns out that the Vylons weren't actually designed to stop the Steelswarm virus at all. They were actually designed to stop a different virus called the Lswarm virus, which is what the evil swarm virus was. And then with the Vylons now gone, there was no real way to stop the evil swarm virus available to the other clans, and that led to the defeat of not only the Vylons but many other clans and many monsters in this storyline. So that's roughly the idea behind the Vylons, and in game, in terms of their deck design, they are a archetype of monsters which are designed to use themselves and equip spell cards to power up other monsters. Unfortunately, the Vylons are a very inconsistent archetype. They don't really mesh well together, and it made building a pure Vylon deck very difficult. There's a variety of different reasons here, but the main reason is the fact that they are a deck which tries to base themselves around tuner monsters. Now, synchro summons in this game requires two things. You need your tuner and you need your non-tuner. Now, in order to get two monsters on the field, you really need a way to special summon at least one monster to the field, and that's what Vylons really lack. They have no real way of special summoning themselves to the field except for one card called Vylon Element. Besides using Vylon Element, Vylon Element is a bit of a complicated card to use. There's no real way of using purely just Vylons in a deck and keeping up in this day and age. Therefore, we have to revert to other monsters to actually special summon themselves to the field in order to support the tuners. This is what makes it so difficult to run a pure Vylon archetype, because all the other Vylon cards are either quick spell cards which only work with Vylon monsters, or they are synchro summons which rely on the quick spell cards, and you can't mix the two together. You can't have non-Vylon monsters and these pure Vylon cards at the same time. So the deck which you're seeing on screen here is my Vylon Synchro deck. What it focuses on is using the tuner monsters which the Vylons have, the ones which are pretty good in my opinion, and using non-Vylon based tuners just to do some amazing synchro summons. The Vylon tuner monsters all have the effect where when they are sent from the field to the graveyard, you can pay 500 life points in order to attach them back to a monster on the field. This means you can create some really crazy, highly powered Vylon monsters, synchro monsters. The one which I just had on the field was Frame Lord Omega, with Vylon Prism giving him an extra 1000 attack. A 3800 Vylon Frame Lord Omega is nothing to laugh at. He's already a very elusive monster, and to have him with that such high attack means you've got to really try hard to get over him and the threat that he possesses. As you can see, my opponent is playing Black Wings, and he did have to use a lot of effect to reduce his attack, and that is why I banished him to kind of dodge him from being lost. But I really like the Vylon effects that they when they attach themselves to a synchro monster, because it makes them just a bit more threatening than they usually do. So looking at my field right now, I'm looking at what else I can synchro summon. and I'm going to go for instant fusion to bring out Elder Entity Norden to bring out a monster from my grave. This is what I kind of try to do with this deck. I'm trying to make it as versatile as possible and make synchro summoning really easy. Unfortunately, when I played pure Vylons, it really just was not that easy or just as fast as this, and this is what kind of speed you need in this day and age. So bringing out Elder Entity Norden lets me target any monster in my graveyard. I'm going to go for Violent Prison again because it basically makes your synchro summons a 1-cost synchro, because you get to get the card back that you spent. So at the cost of 500 life points, it's really worth it in my opinion. And I'm going to go for another level 8 synchro, which is really strong in this day and age. And I'm going to go for... am I going to go for Stardust Spark? No, I'm going to change my mind. I'm actually going to go for Scarlet Red Hot Archfiend. One of the better synchro monsters in my opinion, and one of the strongest synchro monsters out there right now in Legacy the Duelist. It's a really good card. Unfortunately, this and Cyframe Lord Omega are DLC locked, so if you don't have this available to you and you want to build this deck, do not worry about getting these cards necessarily. I do not recommend you going out and spending extra money just for 1 or 2 cards, but I will say those DLCs that those decks or that these cards come with do have a lot of other good cards, so if you want to consider it, feel free to. I just don't want to encourage anyone to feel like they have to play these cards, because they're not necessarily mandatory. So now we've got Scarlet Red Hot Archfiend out on the field. I've used Cyframe Lord's Omega's effect to get him off the field and take out my opponent's Gishki, and now I'm using Scarlet's effect to destroy all effect monsters on the field that have been special summoned, clearing his board quite easily. With Prism on the attached to him, he has 4,000 attack, making it really easy to just wipe out my opponent's life points here. And this is really the power of Violence. It's just giving your monsters a little bit of an edge that they normally wouldn't have, and making them into these incredibly strong monsters. I don't know if you'll get to see the other violent monsters in this video here, but the other effects are as follows. You have Stella, which is the level 3 tuner, and Stella's effect is that when it's equipped to a monster, at the end of the damage step, if the equipped monster battled an opponent's monster, you get to destroy that opponent's monster, which can be versatile because it means you get that kind of effect destruction there. I can't think of any particular reason why that would definitely be useful, but I'm sure there are some niche situations where that could be useful. And Tetra is the level 2 synchro, which when equipped to an opponent's equipped to a monster, it makes it so that when that monster will be destroyed, you can destroy him instead. So it gives that monster an extra bit of protection, and I've just drawn into a Tetra, which is quite nice there. So back into my turn here. On my field, I've got Cyframe Lord Omega, I've got Scarlet Red. A really strong combination here. I really love Cyframe Lord Omega. He is just so good there. Such a destructive card. Again, I'm just going to use it to keep on taking away my opponent's Gishki, so my opponent can't just wipe my board. And now we're going to just swing towards Gale the Whirlwind. And let's see if my opponent has a response. They do. They have Mirror Force. So unfortunately, I am going to lose Scarlet Red. But that's okay, because I'm not really too worried about having my field wide open here, and you'll get to see why that is in a moment. Some of you probably would have worked it out already, but we're going to let my opponent take the turn there and see what they do. Funny that we've both got the same icon here. I can't even remember that character's name for 5Ds, but the same boss guy from 5Ds in Season 1. And yeah, no, now we're on my opponent's turn. He's going to attack with Gale, and I'm going to activate Speed Roy Menko. Speed Roy Menko is a Speed Roy card which special summons itself when an opponent makes a direct attack and turns all of their monsters to defense position. It's a really good level 4 monster that can special summon itself to the field. It's a good hand trap, so I don't have to run trap cards, and I can then use it on my next turn as a synchro material. So here comes Cyframe Lord Omega again, doing his shenanigans as he likes to do, and now we're going to summon that Violent Tetra. And we're going to go into a level 6 synchro, or we could go to level 10, but no, we're going to go to level 6. And we're going to send Tetra, and we're going to send Menko to the graveyard to bring out Stardust Charge Warrior. A good synchro card, a really solid one. You can get him from New Seifudo's battle pack if you want to get him, and when he is synchro summoned, you get to draw 1 card from your deck. Also, I get to use Tetra's effect to attach it to him as well, and therefore we've got now a monster with 2,000 attack, which is gonna be, this isn't too hard to kill, but it's gonna be a little bit harder to kill than it normally would. Plus, if my opponent has another Mirror Force, I don't have to worry about that at all. Gonna use Cyframe on Omegas again. Now that I know that he has Raigeki, I'm just gonna keep on stealing that Raigeki because why would I let him have the option? So we're gonna attack my opponent's card, and he's gonna respond with Black Sonic. And unfortunately, I am gonna lose that. Black Sonic's effect is it banishes the monster that's attacking. Therefore, Check actually couldn't do too much against it, and that's not too bad though. We've still got an option there. And I'm gonna summon out Photon Thrasher, and now I'm gonna use Smashing Ground to get rid of his monster on the field, leaving his field wide open. Smashing Ground is an old school card. It used to be a card everyone used to run. We used to all run 3 copies of Smashing Ground. And you know what, I just kind of felt like bringing it back a bit, so I thought like putting it in when I have space in my deck. And there wasn't really any other options in this deck that I thought of putting into the main deck build. Normally, if I was playing in a more competitive environment, I would have cards like Maxi. But in Legacy of the Duelist environment, you never really know who you're going to run into. And I run into as many new players as I do experienced players, and those new players will be just running basic normal summon decks, which cards like Maxi doesn't really help fighting against. So yeah, that's kind of why I'm running that. But I could run other cards, maybe like Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit could be in this deck. That actually could be a really good option for this deck. Or any other hand trap really could work out if you don't like Smashing Ground. But I like it because it's non-target removal and monsters can be a threat in this day and age. So my opponent has summoned out his other Black Queen. He was able to reduce my attack quite a bit and do a lot of damage to me. I've only got 1,000 life points left. But here comes Cyframe on Omega, back to the field, keeping that Raigeki out of bay. And now we're going to activate Galaxy Soldier's effect. Galaxy Soldier requires me to discard 1 light monster to special summon it to the field in defense position. Then we get to search out a Galaxy card from my deck to my hand, and I'm going to go for Galaxy Serpent. This is going to seal the game here for me right now because Galaxy Serpent is a level 2 light based tuner monster, and from that I'm going to be able to synchro summon into a level 7 monster, and the one which we're going to go for in this situation is Black Rose Moonlight Dragon. Black Rose Moonlight Dragon is a improved version of Black Rose Dragon. It doesn't nuke the whole field and destroy it, but what it does do is it returns a level 5 or higher monster on the field back to their opponent's their owner's hand. I don't think it targets your own monsters, I think it's just your opponent's. And anytime once per turn that a level 5 or higher monster is special summoned, it will do that effect too. It is mandatory and you can't really control Black Rose Moonlight Dragon too well, but it is a strong effect otherwise. Anyway, thank you for tuning into this video. Hopefully you liked that, and you'll catch the deck list sometime soon, also on the channel.